It's a very short time frame, but we've done analysis that shows that if we work at a very efficient level, that works the best. The reason we need everybody to move in at the same time is that if you're running what's called a local-to-local business, you need the critical mass. For example, if you run a bookstore, the guys I know say you need 7,000 people to run a profitable bookstore. So if we say, well, we've got 5 stages and you'll hit your critical mass in 5 years, they say, I can't move in, can't run it. So everybody has to move in at roughly the same time. One of the crucial things we'll find is that people in the local community who don't get it will start filling the gaps with fears, with worries. What's it going to mean here? What's it going to mean there? And a lot of our early conversation is we've done a lot of work to address those kinds of concerns and to essentially provide answers for them, because we do want it to be something that has a comfort level and a welcoming from the local community, that they see this as a good thing, they see it's non-threatening. The usual things that people are concerned with simply aren't going to be issues. We use the term, a zoology term called home range. It's interesting, it's not used that much in the planning business. I haven't come across it. We're trying to introduce it because when you study animals, you say, what is the area that you cover in your normal day-to-day routine? Whether it's a coyote or a bee, or it doesn't matter, they have a home range. And when you look at the home range of Americans today, I think it's an average of 34 miles a day. And when you want to go get food, you have to drive to the supermarket. When you want to go to work, you have to drive there, take your kids to school. And when you analyze what we call a walking home range, you find it needs to be with everything you need within a 10-minute walk. And so we will have the full range of services that people would go to, whether it's work, recreation, other things like that, shopping. All of that is intended to be local. Another important part is that from the wider community's point of view, this is not a gated community. Anybody of goodwill is welcome to come in 24/7 and take advantage of the resources that are there. Of course, they'll have to park their car in the motor pool and either walk in or take an electric golf cart or something like that. But it is not intended to be some sort of colony or some sort of, I don't know, what do you call it, cult, or something with a big wall around it. It is intended to become a county resource. The Greenbelt will have sports fields, festival fields, all sorts of different kinds of activities, and those would be open to anyone, not just this county, but anyone who wants to come visit. It becomes a resource. There also will be certain things. This project would prefer to do its own, for example, waste management, because we will actually use those as surplus resources rather than stuff you need to throw away or recycle and sell to China. We've got experts. So it may be that the county says, well, actually, could we send some of our recycling to you guys? So there may be benefits like that. We have fairly advanced systems on how to use water, so that we probably won't be drawing a lot of groundwater. With the sewage system, we're hoping that the rules will allow us to convert the sewage into alcohol and not drinking alcohol, but fuel alcohol and fish fertilizer. One of the crucial things is we're going to have 10,000 mouths to feed, and so we'll be wanting to go to the farmers. We want to preserve the farmland. It's very important that we do that. And we want to be able to go to the farmers and give them a business proposition that's better than what they have now. Because in the United States, in 1950, 44% of the consumer's plate went to the farmer. Today it's 19%. And that means over 80% is going to the middleman. And if we say, well, it's local food, we're going to have it grown there and trucked here or brought in, we can cut all of those middle aspects out, which means we can say to the farmer, we can pay you a lot more money than we could if we were buying it from Chile and New Zealand and all over the world. For that, we'd like to go to much healthier food. We'd like to go much more flavorful and nutritious food, and the full range of foods. So that I guess there was a time when this community produced a very wide range of foods, and now it's sort of a lot more grapes and a lot less peaches. And so we would want to give the farmers the proposition, and it's entirely voluntary, But if you look and say, okay, I can make more money and I know they need to eat 3 times a day and they're never going away, that's a much more stable market than the boom bust of whether it's the wines or other markets. And so we would like to do that, and we'd like to have long-term contracts for that. That may also then be something that the rest of the county says, well, actually, can we sign up for that as well? And we would say, sure. So these are a few of the basic things. A developer friend of mine is a very, very successful developer, and he said that half of his job is getting permission. Half of the job in real estate development is getting permission. And so when Andrew spoke with Dan and there was an indication that you would be open to this, I said, well, I think we should call the team together. We should come in and have this conversation today, because if we can get that permission and you start with a non-binding letter of intent that just lays out what we're looking for, that gives us a huge amount of power to go out and enroll the support we need to make this happen. We do not have in pocket the funding we'll require for this, but with people like Julian, we have access to the places that do, and one of the things they would say is, well, what kind of local support do you have? And if we can say here, at that point, we suddenly have something that has legs. Now, from the county's point of view, there are a number of details. One of them is the Civitas Corporation will actually own the underlying land that each house is built on. And then the corporation is owned by the houses that are there. So it's a slightly different model than sole title to your property. And that one of the things that will mean is that we would prefer if we paid one property tax bill a year, and that we handle our own. If somebody doesn't have the money, that's handled internally. So from the county's point of view, it's just when it's tax bill time, we write a check for whatever it is, and that we do that. That there'll be other aspects. For example, with the fire, we really want to make it so that there really are not a whole lot of reasons for call-outs. That we don't want the urban core to be combustible. We want to design it in a way that is just a whole lot safer. It also will be safety. The building method we'll use is highly earthquake resistant. It's flood resistant. All of the sorts of things that are happening more and more frequently, we want to make sure we just simply build those into the design. From the law enforcement area, we want to have a very, very safe community. We will have internal security just like any shopping mall does, but we just want very few law enforcement, sheriff call-outs, this kind of thing. By keeping the profits inside the community, we expect to have a significant fund, which we call a legacy fund, and one of the things we intend to guarantee is zero unemployment and zero poverty among the willing, I should say. So somebody loses a job, we will have standby jobs that they can come to the next day and be earning a living so they can pay their mortgage, because remember, we're managing their mortgages. The VillageTowns managing the mortgages for them. And so this works when you have this level of capitalization and you've got a fully functioning local economy. In terms of poverty, if somebody says, I want out, the system is there to help them get the education, help them get the skills, and it's the employers who say, okay, we have an obligation to help people who aren't doing well and to bring them out of poverty. It is only, though, among the willing. If somebody's happy living in the system, we're not going to. That's another problem. So the burden on the county, I think, would be very small. I think it would be something that we would be able to significantly help you with some of your long-term financial problems, because we reckon the valuation of this is going to be between, it's 4,000 units if we do a full development, and they're roughly going to be worth, an average of $300,000 or $400,000. And so if you do the math, that's going to be a pretty big valuation. And we're about 1.1% property tax right now. And there's no Prop 13, it's all new construction, so you're going to be doing it on the new amount. It's going to be a significant amount of money that would come in with very, very little draw on you once it's operational. During the startup phase, we do not want any county money. Typically, a big corporation, if Google said we're going to open a campus here, they'd then get you competing against 10 other counties, and how many concessions are you going to give? We want cooperation, not concessions. For us, the most important thing is time. How quickly can we get this done? How can we get approvals? But if we say we need 24/7 building inspections, then we're going to pay you to have those building inspectors available 24/7, and they'll get enough money that they'll say, yeah, I'm happy doing that. So we don't find that the taxpayers carry any burden whatsoever for this project, but at the end of it, that they will probably see a lot less financial burden in their property taxes as you try and solve some of your long-term issues like the pension.